Because if the objective of cultural policy is to encourage creativity, this is creativity. It is to encourage creativity of both professional and amateur creators. It must do those two things, not just one. And what harm is it if cultural policy encourages more of creators who create for the love of creating rather than for the money? Now, in my tradition, in the American tradition, in the tradition of copyright law in America, we have a way of saying this. We have a doctrine in American copyright law called fair use, which not technically but effectively puts copyright on the defensive. It says to copyright, when a copyright lawyer asserts the right to control a particular use, it says back, justify your control. Tell me why it makes sense for the law to give you the right to stop me from remixing your work as I have. And though I think there are few virtues, relatively few virtues in American law, American IP law, at least giving a forum for this kind of a question, a forum for asking what makes sense, makes it possible for the system to reflect upon the ways in which culture and the production of culture is changing. So when we stand back and say, what do we share? And I say we share too little, we can see the way we share too little through this accounting. First, the creativity I'm describing, this creativity of remix, is something we do share. This common culture of expression is encouraged by this common technology, a technology accessible globally because of something called IP, as in TCP IP, something that functions universally in our world, producing an opportunity for humans to be humans, meaning humans creating and sharing their creativity, to create and recreate and share. This is the creativity that we now increasingly share, at least our children share. But this law that I was describing, we don't share. IP law. IP here, as in law. We don't share. It is importantly different. We live in a world where we speak as if there's effectively a globalized IP regime, but there's not. There are important ways in which the regimes differ, and especially with respect to remix. And we forget that, or we in the United States tend to forget that difference. We tend to forget that what we think of as our rights, like the fair use right, which the Supreme Court has said is a constitutionally protected right, is local to the United States. And that indeed what we think of as our rights are viewed as wrongs elsewhere in the world, especially in the context of remix. I was struck by this image taken at a protest in Berlin against ACTA. You see on the right here, Recht auf Remix, right to remix, which at first I thought my publisher had arranged because this is just a protest that they had to have a right to my book remix. But it turns out there is an organization in Germany, I'm proud to say some of our members are behind it, an organization in Germany which just launched an English version of their site, the righttoremix.org. And the manifesto of this organization expresses this point quite powerfully. As it says, we live in an age of remix. Creativity and culture have always drawn from previous works, but with the internet and digital technologies, the creative reuse of works has been taken to a whole new level. More people are able to edit and share a greater range of works than ever before. More than ever, it has become clear that everything is remix. And what this organization does is to push the idea that law must protect this freedom, and it doesn't across the world just now. And as the site quite powerfully argues, Creative Commons is not a solution to this problem. Indeed, in the United States, Creative Commons licenses explicitly say they don't mean to modify fair use, but what that means is in the rest of the world, the licenses don't necessarily provide to the cultural objects that need to be remixed the freedoms that a culture should recognize. So it is these differences in laws. The rights here are different, the freedoms here are different, and my view is they shouldn't be different. This cultural form of expression, this creativity through the capacity to remix, should be a general right, a general human right to take, to remix, and to share, or as Apple put it before they became a music company, to rip, mix, and burn. We need to share more. We need to share more legally, and to do that, the law must change if we're going to share more legally. But to get to the place that the law recognizes this need to share more legally, we, especially we lawyers, need to celebrate the creativity and sharing that these forms of expression are demonstrating, that they use to capture the generations that come after us. Now, so how do we do that? How do we push an agenda to get the world to recognize the power and value in this form of expression? How do we get there? Well, I agree with the right-to-remix.org. Creative Commons is not the solution to that problem. This problem needs real change in real law. That's necessary if this freedom is to be secured. But Creative Commons prepares us for this solution. It prepares a culture for a solution by building and encouraging a certain practice that shows the world exactly what creators actually choose, what the creators choose, not their lawyers. And we can, in that practice of demonstrating what creators actually choose, encourage and empower us in this fight. For the fight here about this freedom is inevitable.